Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as the forces of Camelot Dodgers managed to maintain a monopoly on the medicinal hot springs of Ebonscale. KOTT news crews were invited to the Emperor's Lodge after the fight and asked the hard questions. Emperor, thank you for meeting with us here tonight. Would you care to tell us about tonight's battle and how it went out there?
我先声明啊，所有被翻译的东西都是错的啊。然后我是觉得对面就说实话有点菜，说实话这么菜就别推了吧，就乖乖待在你们的Restless Shore 跟 Colorless Key 就好了。
Huang says that he is displeased with the level of skill that the enemy has brought today, and that wishes to no longer be bothered with farm wars, because basting in the blood of such a weak enemy will make his hard skin turn soft. And that his plans in the future, he recommends them to attack Restless Shores and Cutlass Keys to have more amicable fights.
Is it my understanding that the Emperor believes that the members of the Syndicate are less worthy of combat at this time?
就你们还是等 Trap Chat 来吧 ，Trap Chat 来的话，你们可能还有点希望。那 Trap Chat 不来的话，你们就先推黄色嘛，要不然你们推我们干嘛？每次都是 Farm War。
Huang says that until TrapChat comes to this server that there is no point in attacking him because it is a farm war, and he would much rather play PUBG.
He is that bored. What plans will he do over this winter then, as it approaches here in Ebonscale?
就中国城就继续，我们中国人我们也不是 celebrate 什么圣诞节、感恩节啊，我们等那个 Chinese New Year 来，我们才有 plan， 不然我们都没有 plan 的。
Huang says that despite the Chinese New Year approaching, he is hurriedly trying to build in his real life a giant bird-sized costume that he can wear to music festivals such as Burning Man and Bonnaroo this summer. And that while his colorful plumage exposes as he wraps his wings around the world, that this is what his true passion is, and no longer wishes to be bothered by farm wars.
I understand. Will he be giving up the reins of any subsequent wars until such time as a worthy competitor comes forward?
反正剩下的 war 就看那个 Hippie 或 Ben 他们来 call 了，我是能不 call 就不 call 啊。
Huang says that the great warlord Hibi shall also be taking control of farm wars, where Huang can just be a soldier and, much like a phoenix, rise from the burning ashes in his bird-like costume and say "caw-caw" to his enemies.
That's quite the battle cry. Another quick look at the weather as the sun does its thing again today, keeping corruption at bay, but look out after sunset as the temperatures drop and the corruption invasion forces strike at 30% of the island. Another roster submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it is cardboard. Tonight, the Marauders of CB4 attack the Covenant forces of Tropical X for control of the rain-drenched region of Morningdale. Gusto and the boys making another push into another region known to cause water to drip from all kinds of places. But will the rain-drenched stage motivate CB4? The Zealots of Tropical X were able to hold off this same company just over 2 weeks ago. But are yesterday's leftovers still causing tryptophan fatigue? We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as the forces of Tropical X managed to hold off the great house of CB4 and retain control of their holy ground in the north. Always generous in their tithings, the payout line after the war was quite long. While waiting, KOTT spoke with one of the participants after their successful victory. Congratulations on your victory out here in Morningdale tonight against the forces of CB4. 2 down, but the final 50-50 outside was yours. How do you feel it went out there?
I feel that went great. I feel that my team did the best that they could, and they really slaughtered it right at the end.
Was there anybody out there whose efforts you might want to highlight?
As a mercenary and a person that I enjoy quite frequently, Whirlwind was amazing as always.
After the payouts, Governor Keeks was full of excitement and praise about the war. Congratulations on your victory here in Morningdale, but it looked like a moment that could have slipped away from you. Would you care to take us through what happened out there tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. One, it was a great war, had so much fun, but we did overextend and all went to A point. Too many of us went to A point, where we almost lost B, came back to B, and then, we lost A. I thought we were going to lose both, but we were able to recover and take B back, so a little scary, but good.
As I was watching live as it happened, and as I saw it, that's how it went down. It looked like you guys might have been a little bit in a pinch, but you had two epic shout-outs. I don't know who your shot caller was tonight, but perhaps you could enlighten me who that was out there.
It is Hubby Wubby from the Playhouse. His energy during war is phenomenal. So much fun. He's a great hype man and a great shot caller.
Well, we all love a good hype man, believe me. Well,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Is there anybody else out there whose efforts you might want to highlight?
Actually, that was going to be the person. Hubby Wubby has been a newer friend, but someone that we've grown close to and we've been hanging out with. But of course, HBM came out, and they're our besties, so.
Well, sir, I'm always keen to ask if you have any plans for the hamlet in the near future. I know the winter is soon upon us.
You know what? We are getting ready to have some fun little events around town, and we're going to see if we can pull in other companies from all three factions. So there should be some fun stuff happening soon.
Turning to the weather, and once again, the sun will swing through on its way around the planet. Then a late night monsoon will roll across the southern edge of the island, dredging up a 20% chance of invasion. 3 submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Up first, the Syndicate forces of Soju Soldier Division assail the Covenant forces of Order of Chaos for control of First Light and the flow of the spice. The newcomers of Soju Soldier Division send their finest infantry to storm the beaches around the hyssop and spice production facilities of the southern region. The Spice Lords of Order of Chaos have been having a back and forth with their Syndicate neighbors to the west, but now it's their turn to stand their ground. Then, the Syndicate forces of Eviction Noticed attack the Marauders of Trap Chat Dodgers for control of the bear-infested deep forest of Brightwood. The offensive forces of Eviction Company march into the woods armed with their Dr. Bombastus bear repellent, but will the concentrated secret ingredient give them away? The Marauders of Trap Chat Dodgers have smelled the scent of some old foes lingering in the air, but have they tipped their hand, letting others know that they know? Later, the Covenant forces of Only Slots Mercs assault the Syndicate forces of Eviction Posted for control of the always uncontrollable Restless Shore. The newcomers of Only Slots Mercs test out the combat abilities of their first round of hired combatants. But will they be able to direct this 50-person crew? As always, the anarchy in the archipelago is nothing new to the current governing body of the region. But if they keep their footing at the top of the hill, they'll maintain order for yet another day. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the Syndicate secure the southern shores of the hyssop-rich region of First Light. KOTT News crews were on the scene immediately after the fight for comments from company leadership. Congratulations on your victory out here in First Light, successfully securing the hyssop fields and the flow of the spice. How do you feel it went out there?
Oh, it was a really good war out there tonight. I think had a little technical issues with voice comms in the beginning. Nobody heard the main comms for a while until fort phase, but everyone still played it perfectly, and I was happy with that. So good job to the team.
Excellent. Is there anybody on your team who outperformed themselves tonight?
Ooh, outperform themselves? I don't know, but everyone is always doing a good job. My Soji gang came back, doing our thing now, vibing. Want to shout out Warworks Group You guys are always fantastic out there, fragging hard. Asian Sushi, my best fire staff, but tonight he had to take it down and put on that medium VG so we can get the dub.
Speaking of where you want things, how do you see the progression of First Light now that you're in charge? Winter is nearly upon us. Do you have any intentions for the hamlet?
Based on Asian Sushi and our old Governor King Rob, we're gonna have to bring out the fire staffs more of our citizens of First Light coming this winter.
Is there anything else you might like to add or any declarations you might like to make to the island while you have this opportunity?
I'd just like to say to everyone of Eternum, Doji Gang is back on the map, and we're here for a bit.
Later in Brightwood, Dodger forces managed to maintain the outer 50-50 on Bravo for well over 20 minutes. We spoke with one of the victors about the outcome. Congratulations on your victory out here in Brightwood tonight, where you successfully held them off for a good 20 minutes with a Bravo 50-50 hold. How do you feel it went out there?
It went good. We just dropped 2 points off rip. We didn't think we would need either of them. And we didn't, so went well.
Indeed. I noticed some interesting mercenarial forces out there tonight. Is there anybody who you might want to highlight?
Yeah, the Kyo, I forget what his name was. He was a musket. He had 60 kills. He was doing God's work, dude. So that was a impressive performance from him.
And of yourself, what are your expectations now that you continue to hold Brightwood? I am seeing more and more syndicate forces starting to mass.
Yeah, we're expecting a push from Trap Chat at some time, and we'll plan accordingly for when that happens. We're mostly just looking for some more horses. So if you know anybody or got any horses, we got carrots, we got sugar cubes. Just let us know, and we got the gold, so we can buy it.
Is there anything else you might want to add?
But I would just like more people to sign up for invasions. Everyone knows invasions kind of suck, and we don't always want to do them. And owning a couple territories makes doing invasions every day a little bit annoying. So sign up for invasions. I believe we give payouts for whoever gets top damage. Don't quote me on that though. I'm not leadership. I'm just a lowly peasant within the Dodgers.
Very well. I'll let people know as far and wide as I can. Thanks for taking a moment to stop and talk to me.
Of course,
really
and everyone, make sure that you become a patron for JChalant. Okay, he has a Patreon, and we all need to subscribe to it because we need to get John Adobe.
As the sun was setting in Restless Shore, we caught up with regional leaders to discuss their successful hold. Congratulations on your victory here in Restless Shore, my friend. Everything was seemed under control despite them getting through the gates with 20 minutes to go. And then in the final 1 minute 30 seconds, an unusual surge. Tell me about the pucker factor.
The pucker factor was real. I think they realized this is our last opportunity. We give it everything we got. We had it in the bag. We were very confident that our army would rotate over and collapse them effectively, and I think they did an amazing job.
Indeed. Is there anybody whose performance out there you might want to highlight tonight?
I want to highlight the whole army. We've been growing. We've been getting better together. We had a tough war in Brightwood, but we brought it back. We got the dub in Restless Shore to protect the home.
The second harshest winter in Eternum's history is soon upon us. Have you made any preparations here in the hamlet?
Yeah, we're locking down the boat, getting the fish stocked up, and cooking the bread.
Right on, my friend. Well, is there anything else you might want to add tonight?
There's always Max Town boards available in Restless Shore. You can DM me, and I can put a specialty buff up for you. Just let me know.
Turning to the weather, and today it looks like the sun is coming in from the east, but making a quick turn south before settling in for the night. Then be on the lookout for an overflow of corruption forces welling out of the Cutlass Keys mosh pit later in the evening. Yet another roster submission for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPGO. Remember, if it isn't LARPGO, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Syndicate forces of Shut Up H0 assault the Marauders of CB4 for control of the primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fin. Syndicate intelligence operatives have identified a potential disruption in company leadership of Weaver's Fin, but will it be enough to strike in the confusion? Gusto and the boys continue to work through said confusion surrounding the recent disturbance in the crew. But tonight they'll definitely fight till you can feel them. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the Syndicate forces of Shut Up H0 melt through the distracted Marauder forces. The payout line for the effort was quite long and contained quite a few familiar faces. We spoke with the hired commander of the war after the fight. So would you care to give us a little comment on how you felt it went out there?
Well, just trap things, just coming over here, dominating already in 10 minutes.
I did notice it didn't take very long.
Yeah, it was no pressure. We actually gave him a good extra 5 minutes, Could have been quick about it, but we were nice and we just gave him a chance, We don't want to wipe out the server too early yet, But it was a good work. They had good effort. The kill squads were, doing a good work and behind us on AA, but that only lasted about a minute or so, but it was a good work. We're just trying to show it. Over here, Trap is back, baby.
Trap is back. Well, you know who's looking out for you. Emperor Wang Zhang is certainly waiting for it.
Can't wait for it. But thank you, John.
Thank you.
It was a good work.
Elsewhere on the island, skirmishes were breaking out as KOTT News discovered while shooting War Report B-roll. KOTT News will bring you more on this story from First Light as it develops. While regional leaders across the island react to recent outcomes, the Sun will continue its daily routine as it always does. Of course, the corrupted invasion forces will strike at any opportunity that arises from the conflicts of the island. 2 more submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPCO. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it's cardboard. First up, the Syndicate forces of Eviction Noticed assail the Marauders of Nirvana Bruisers Union for control of the master fishing port town of Reekwater. Syndicate forces becoming more and more emboldened lately as their numbers grow and their teamwork improves. But will they overcome their old foe tonight? The Nirvana Bruisers Union are currently the 2nd longest tenured great house on the island. But will splitting time and trying out new builds impact them tonight? Later, the Covenant forces of Here Be Norivana assault the vault of Norivana in order to secure the island's financial capital of Windsward. This battle reads like an old Abbott and Costello bit as Here Be Norivana come calling. Calling where? Here. Who's calling? Here Be Norivana. But Norivana's already here, so the defense is Norivana here. Thus, this reporter can predict with no degree of certainty if Norivana will be here at night's end. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, despite some close moments as the Marauders of Nirvana managed to maintain control of their 2 great houses. We caught up with Nirvana leadership in Windsward after their successful holds. Congratulations on your victory here in Windsward. Sure, they got in the gate with 15 minutes left, but all they did was beat around on your horns at the front of the house. But what I want to talk about is what happened at the end of the first period when you almost lost Bravo. 85, maybe 95%. You get the call to get back on there. Would you care to take us through that moment?
I'm going to be honest, John. The adrenaline was racing. Respawns just came out. We're all hard diving the B point to save the day. And you know what? In that moment, we did it. It was exhilarating.
Looking back, do you think that might have been the difference for them in the end?
I think that was the demoralizing moment. In war, you have to keep your head up to take the victory. Face adversity. And in that moment, we shunned them. We weren't going to let them have it then. We're not going to let them have it now. It's pretty simple, John.
Indeed. Is there anybody out there whose efforts you might want to highlight?
Of course. In fact, this person is actually on the enemy roster. What the Bachnor is absolute legend. Only issue, he smells like cheese. I love the guy.
Is there anything coming up here in the hamlet that you might want to let the citizens of Eternum know about?
We're upgrading Windsward. Everything, absolutely everything, tier 5. So if you want the premium destination for your trade, your crafting, your AH surfing in the middle of the night, come to Windsward. This is the place to be, baby.
That wasn't the only excitement last night, as KOTT investigative teams discovered a huge cache of gold earlier in the evening. The vast amount of treasure were too much to carry in one trip, so I left some out there for the rest of you to discover. like this week's Citizen of the Week, who I ran into while vanquishing corruption at this mysterious location. Some light damage caused from last night's final moment invasion in Restless Shore last night, so be sure to check mission boards to help out. Looking at the weather tonight, and it seems like the sun will swoop through as it does before heading back to space, when corruption forces will take note of the cover of darkness and strike at 20% of the island. Yet another submission for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it is cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant forces of Most Wanted assail the Syndicate forces of Cutlass Keys Fan Club for control of the secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. The Zealots of Most Wanted return from their temporary hiatus, renewed in their devotion to shepherd the citizens to the light of the spark. But Cutlass Keys Fan Club are currently the longest tenured great house on the island, so they're familiar with Most Wanted, and they won't be taking this former great house lightly. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as the forces of Cutlass Keys Fan Club managed to hold off the Zealots of Most Wanted. KOTT News crews were on the scene and spoke with company leadership about the fight. Congratulations on your victory out here in Cutlass Keys, once again maintaining the crocodile keep from everybody else. How do you feel it went out there tonight?
It was pretty good. Purple Gang on top. I had a nap before the war, woke up a minute before the war started, but you know what? I was fresh, ready to go. It was pretty good.
Excellent. Was there anybody out there who outperformed themselves tonight?
Mr. Isaac Birdie, his first time busketing, I think he did well. Just calling targets like a madman.
The second harshest winter in Eternum's history is soon upon us. Have you made any preparations for the hamlet?
We're just gonna hold it down, give everybody in town a nice warm blanket and some new socks. Keep them warm.
Quickly through the weather today, as the sun does a couple laps around the planet this afternoon. Look out after sunset number 2, as enraged corruption forces will rise up and strike at 30% of the island's coastline. 3 lineup submissions for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, the Marauders of Nothing Personal assail the Syndicate forces of Eviction Soju Sector for control of First Light and the flow of the spice. The forces of Nothing Personal return to the Hyssop-rich region after failing to overthrow the Order of Chaos, but will it be more or less difficult this time? The collaborative efforts of Eviction Soju Sector using this skirmish as a sparring warm-up before their main event later in the evening. But if they get knocked out, that could alter their plan. Then, the same Syndicate forces of Eviction Soju Sector will challenge the Covenant forces of Here Be Monsters for their heavyweight title and the right to rule over Everfall. In the purple corner, hailing from the sunny seaside starting hamlet of First Light, Great House, and current reigning Spice Lords of the island, Eviction Soju Sector. In the yellow corner, with a record of 2 wins and no losses this run, the current reigning heavyweight champions of Eternum, Here Be Monsters! Later, the Syndicate forces of E-Boy Beach attack the Covenant forces of Here Be Monsters for control of the arid desert region of Brimstone Sands. The newcomers of E-Boy Beach make their first attempt to capture land by going after the largest available amount of sand they can find. Once again, Here Be Monsters forces fight in back-to-back offerings in one night. They were successful before, but will they continue to find ways to win? Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, This has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the Syndicate forces of E-Boy Beach secure all the sand they can stand in the northern desert region of Brimstone Sands. KOTT News were on the scene for what may have been the longest payout line this reporter has ever witnessed. While waiting for civic leaders to settle mercenarial debts, KOTT News spoke to a participant about the fight. Were you in tonight's fight?
Tonight's fight, the 3-minute war.
Yeah, the 3-minute war, I guess.
Oh, how lovely about this place is after winning that 3-minute war.
Well, you know, I have some questions about it. It was over awfully quick. The champs held Everfall, so were they just too tired to show up here?
So, legend has it, I left their company, and then they fully disbanded.
Oh, so how did they manage to hold out tonight?
Wait a minute. Oh, they paid AGS for a little more gold, so they could RMT it.
Is that right?
So the stories say.
We'll have to investigate those reports. After payouts, a brief word was had by the company representative. Thanks for taking the time to stop and talk to me. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on your victory here, such that it was over in a mere moments. Care to take us through what might have happened out there?
Rasputin shot called again, so he's 2-0, and then Ricky
was
was
12-0 actually.
yeah. So and then Ricky is 19-1 now, and he transferred off. So Rasputin is doing better now. But yeah, no, Rasputin just rolled them like a steam train. It was nothing. We're ready for our next war again.
Were you participants in the Everfall fight earlier?
There was no fight. I was supposed to, but it got rescheduled.
Care to tell us what your intentions are for the Hamlet now that you've taken Brimstone?
I believe everything's already up. We're taking care of it right away. HBM, you know, they're great people and great company, and they left it in good hands to take care of it for them too.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to stop and talk to me. I appreciate it. Is there anything you might want to say to the citizens of Eternum now that you have this forum?
Yeah, there's actually one thing. I think there's a lot of people dodging us and coming purple to join us. Or not join us, but other companies that should probably swap. Yeah, just stop dodging us. Go to yellow or green.
KOTT News crews then traveled to Everfall to get an explanation about last night's events, but were unable to secure an interview. Looking at the weather, and once again, the sun will rise and fall as it does circling around the planet. But look out after sunset when corruption invasion forces rise up and attack roughly 20% of the island. 2 submissions for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, the Covenant forces of Most Wanted assail the Syndicate forces of Anaconda is back for control of the hardly controllable Restless Shore. The former Great House of Most Wanted getting their island legs under them in a practice matchup 2 nights ago. Now take aim on acquiring the Eastern Beaches. But if those zealots aren't bringing hot cross buns, they'll be fighting an uphill battle all night long, 'cause Anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun. Meanwhile, the Syndicate forces of Eviction Soju Sector will challenge the Covenant forces of Here Be Monster for their heavyweight title and the right to rule over Everfall. Eviction Soju forces agreed to delay last night's bout by 1 day in order for both combatants to focus over 2 nights. But did Eviction Soju get the better deal? After last night's performance in the desert, dissent is apparent amongst the champions. It is unknown how well they will perform tonight, or if they will answer the bell at all. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.